Paragon of Animals, an original short story by Jared I. McGee. This goodly frame the earth seems to me sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy the air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire? Why, it appeareth no other thing to me than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty. In form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. And yet, to me, what is the quintessence of dust? Man delights not me, no, nor woman neither. Who'd have thought his career would end with the interstellar equivalent of sideswiping a hoverpod on the way to university? And now, of all times, right when he was on the edge of becoming a system jumper first class. What an absolutely ridiculous turn of events. It was almost humorous in its cosmic bad timing. Well, it would be if he weren't about to die. First class would have been pretty damn impressive for an earth scratch like me, he said to no one in particular, allowing the dusts of this massive asteroid that had gotten uppity enough to have gravity to swirl around him. System Jumper Second Class Ezekial Jatayu lurched mentally at having spoken aloud. How stupid could you be? Here the air is running out faster than he and his sister Phoebe used to run out of the sanctuary after the sisters were done with their midday lectures about morality and how God really was coming to alleviate the pains of those left on earth. Prophets help him. That was fast. Earlier today, SJFC Jatayu had honestly thought he'd die of boredom long before anything out in the great dark would get him. Day after day, night after night of the same conversations with the same people on the same hunk of junk Umbriel-class cruiser got old 7 months ago. So enduring the final 9 months of their mission seemed like it might actually prove to be more of a killer than anything the vacuumous space or its denizens could hurl at him. Then again, Jatayu had always been a little leery of other humans. Most of his crewmates thought that this was because they were all born with more means on planets with far more clout than the all-but-forgotten homeworld. But no, that wasn't it. Humans were just... There's not a precise word for it. Not exactly. A book he was reading once told him that the ancient language called German that had fallen into great disuse lifetimes ago, save for scholars, used to have long, strung-out words for some pretty nicely precise concepts and situations. He bet those Germans could assist him with explaining this. Humans put Jatayu ill at ease. Maybe that's just what growing up hungry on a ruined rock and having a younger sister who, in the wake of their parents' early deaths, he had to protect amid the rough and tumble wildness that Earth had long since become made him. He'd seen what people did for food, for water, for breathing rights in one of the pods, for fun. He gasped again, thrusting him back into the present. Breathing was becoming labored. How long could 2 hours last, anyway? Prophets and Heterae watch over him. He couldn't remember how long he'd been out. Everything was fuzzy, in truth. Everything had to be fuzzy if he was defaulting to those kooky religious notions that had been drilled into he and Phoebe so many years ago. He did remember that SJFC Talus had initiated thrusters to maneuver around some of the asteroids in a well-charted belt of a relatively well-charted area they were scouting. Jatayu wasn't technically on duty, but he'd been up on the bridge bringing the on-duty sergeant a report that had somehow been misfiled. Jatayu had put it in all the right places, on chip and on feed, but it seemed that did not matter. So here he was, redelivering his report and getting barked at for it. That dressing down is what saved his life. The ship had overcompensated for one small, dense asteroid's minor gravity and swerved right into a much stronger gravitational field of a much larger asteroid. A much, much larger asteroid. He thought he remembered that much of what had gone down. Even so, everything else after that initial jerk and Talus's shout of, "Off course, Sarge!" was gone. Jatayu wasn't a great mathematician, but he could do a little oxygen math. Whoever got him into his evac pack, be it Talus, Sarge, a space angel, or himself, would have strapped him into that pack with a full tank of oxygen. It was impossible not to without some major overrides. Some on the ship had the sole job of keeping tanks full and ready to go after all. So, if he had, now, 1 hour and 3 minutes left, that means that he'd been lying unconscious on that damned pretentious rock for... wait. Surely not. 10 hours? Just about? Give or take an hour or two? That must have been one serious knock to the head. Here in what should have been a time of reflection and serious contemplation, a time that one might use for reverence to and for whatever or whomever they choose to worship, believe in, extol, all he could think about was vaping some more. The irony of it. Inhaling noxious smoke was precisely what was about to happen as soon as his oxygen gave out. Well, that is, if that mass of minerals and universe trash even had some wisps of poisonous atmosphere to breathe in. It was far more likely that Jatayu's lungs would be destroyed rather quickly upon oxygen depletion. Vacuum and cold of space, those two words were ubiquitous in pretty much every conversation and every thought he'd had since orbital training school. Death on a rock isn't something for which they award a jumper diamond sculpt. 2 dreams dying with one big stone, then. His thoughts ran this way and that, flashing to happier times before his parents passed. The two of them, Phoebe and him, all laughing at some long-forgotten joke or quirk of Dad's. His sister crying and refusing to release him as he was leaving Earth. All those girls on Achelous. All that reminiscing sure did make the time fly. 30 minutes. That's all he had left. He oscillated between taking his helmet off and just giving up his ghost to the expanses, praying to someone, or trying to find one of those happy memories to hang on to and just relive until the world blackened even further around him. He closed his eyes, deciding on Phoebe's last birthday while their parents were still alive. They didn't have much to celebrate, or to celebrate with, but man, did they delight in that little girl. A brilliant little star in the blackest place anyone could imagine. A brilliant little star that did not fall victim to the black holes all around her. Defiance of physics and good sense. That was Phoebe. As he realized that tears were falling down his cheeks, Jatayu chuckled at himself. The refraction of the radiation or something sure made it seem like he saw thruster fire. That was Phoebe. She was causing him to be hopeful and optimistic right to his end. Then, wonder of wonders, those imagined fires grew closer and closer still. As a small scouting vessel landed, he did bow his head then, letting the tears fall openly before his brothers and sisters in arms came to rescue his broken body. He would still have a chance at the SJFC. He would still have a chance to do deeds worthy of that everlasting diamond sculpt tombstone remembrance. He would still be able to see Phoebe one more time to make sure that she knew he loved her. Back to the forced interactions with more of my awful species, he thought. The silence and solitude of that asteroid certainly would have proven to be an appropriate death for him. But that barren crag allowed him to think and remember and feel in a way he had not remembered he could. Paragon of Animals, my ass, he cackled, as the crew hoisted him onto the grav transport for med evac. What's that? One of his rescuers? Jatayu smiled and gave in to his pain and exhaustion. He really would have to find the time to go see his sister. He's delirious, the other rescuer declared. Just thankful to be back with his own kind, you know? Sheesh, To die alone out here, to be away from humanity, would be a terrifying prospect for anyone. Internal Jumper Program Report. System Jumper 2nd Class Ezekial Jatayu was rescued by the Yes. The vessel landed on the XZ-776 class asteroid to extract SJFC Jatayu. All other members of the crew of the Eris were killed on impact. All internal logs and transmissions stopped just before impact, so precise determinations regarding the nature of the incident cannot be determined. SJFC Jatayu cannot remember the incident, so he is of no help with the reconstruction of events. SJFC Jatayu has one sister, Phoebe Jatayu of Earth. Contact with Miss Jatayu is made, but she is unable to tend to SJFC Jatayu at this time. After jump transport, he will remain in the infirmary back on Deimos until cleared for duty. End transmission. Thank you for listening to Paragon of Animals, an original short story by Jared I. McGee. The backing track for Paragon of Animals was taken from the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org, an amazing community of artists that set out to help one another through the sharing of their art. This particular track is Theme for an Unmade Space Film by Gelsonic. Theme for an Unmade Space Film comes from Gelsonic's album Various Moods. More information on Gelsonic and its founder Jeremy Ray can be found at gelsonic.com/royalty-free. A sincere thank you to the artist and the Free Music Archive for the contribution. This track is being used under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike License 3.0. Additionally, the sound effects were taken from another great artistic community based on sharing, freesound.org. Users Tristan Lohengren and Foolboy Media provided all sound effects, which are also being used under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike License 3.0. Thank you to those artists as well for making this short story. Thank you to those artists as well for making this short story what it is. Stay tuned for the next short story from Prose with me, Jared I. McGee.